Hi guys, and welcome back from Carly at the Herbathicary. Really good to see you guys again. If you're new to the channel or like the videos, please show your support by hitting like and subscribe down below. So a quick disclaimer, this video is for entertainment purposes only. I am not a doctor or an ethnobotanist. I own a lot of good guidebooks and have been doing this for a while. So please always do your own thorough research first. Don't pick anything unless you're 100% sure of what it is. Check with a book, check with the internet, check with an experienced forager that might know more than you. Always make sure you've got the landowner's permission before you pick anything. Avoid areas of high pollution where they might have used pesticides, and pick as high as you can to avoid where animals might have sprayed. Do not pick endangered species. Please always make sure that you only take as much as you need. Leave some for the creepy crawlies and the birds. And it is advisable to leave your foraged finds outside for at least half an hour in a cool place so that any of those creepy crawlies can find a new home. And always thoroughly wash your findings before you use them. So in January this year, we turned our leftover frozen elderberries from last year into an amazing wine that we had on summer solstice. A week before it was the solstice, I decided to infuse some nettle seeds in there, not only for their high nutritional content, but also because they're believed to improve the mood and also boost the libido. And thanks to the lovely hot weather we've had the last couple of weeks, all the nettles are in seed. So remember, when you're picking nettles, you want the females, so these ones with the heavy clusters that hang down, and not the males with the flowers that sit laterally, I guess, off the stem. They won't produce seed, and that's not what you're looking for. Their job is to send off their pollen and pollinate these lovely female plants. So basket and gloves are ready. I'm going to harvest some of them. Now I do have an entire jar of dried seeds already. If you want to see my video on drying seeds, I'll put the link in the description below, but we're going to be using the fresh ones today. And then the next ingredient on my list is I really wanted to try blackberry this year, and again, thanks to the hot weather, there is an abundance of ones ready. Please excuse the giggling in the background. We usually have a house full of kids, and today is no exception. So when picking your blackberries, you want to pick the ones that just pop off the vine. You don't want them to squish in your hands, and you don't want them to still be red, as they're not quite ready and they are quite tart. Like all of these red ones here, I wouldn't bother picking them, but there is a nice black one hiding in there. However, they can start to go over, like these ones over here. They've been on a little bit too long. If you have a good sniff of them, they already smell like they're fermenting. I would not use those ones. Besides being really, really tasty, blackberries are also full of vitamin C, B6 and D, high in iron, magnesium, calcium and cobalamin. Of course, nettle seeds being high in vitamins A, C, iron, sodium, cobalamin, and magnesium, they're also known to boost your mood. And as we will be using this one for our winter solstice, I think that's a good idea. So of course I'm going to give my blackberries a good soak, and I'm going to be using them fresh, so I won't be working on my jar of dried nettle seeds. Now, if you research making wine, you will be given a list of all these crazy things that you need, but we're going old school. So first thing to do is to weigh out the amount of really well washed blackberries that we have, and then we want to match that with the same amount of sugar. So if you go gram for gram on your blackberries and your sugar, you should actually be okay. Now today we're making a gallon, I think it's called, and according to Google, that's 4.54 liters ish. Now I have a very well cleaned large jar, and it is important that you really clean everything you're using, as you don't want any unwanted bacteria to get into there. So firstly, I'm just going to pop my blackberries into my, again, very, very well cleaned jar. My blackberries weighed in at about 410, 415 grams in the end. I think I need to replace the batteries in this, but we're going to start with 2 liters of boiling water. We're going to start with the boiling water first. It does help to break it down, and of course you're going to be adding your sugar, so it will help your sugar mix in. I did weigh my sugar, and it was a tiny little bit more than the fruit at about 430 grams, but I will add a little bit of extra yeast to compensate for that. It will hopefully increase the alcohol content. So I'm adding in my last half liter, as I could only fit 2 liters into the first batch. So I'm using 2.5 liters of hot water, as my sugar hadn't quite melted yet and it was starting to cool down. So we're going to give that a good stir, and I do suggest with pretty much all products that you're making, and beers and wines and everything, is use wood if you can. Some other materials can interact with the processes that are going on, and obviously seepage and leakage and stuff like that. So I always use wood. I'm then going to add my fresh nettle seeds to this. I do have some slightly dried ones, but I decided I'm going to use the fresh ones. I've never tried it before, and I like to experiment in the kitchen, so we'll see what happens. I added in about 15 clusters of the fresh nettle seeds. I have eaten them fresh before, but I've never tried fermenting them, and I figured as the blackberries are fresh and you can eat the nettle seeds fresh, that I'd give it a go, and I'll dry the excess. So I gave it a good stir in, and I left it hot for about another 10 minutes, but it's not boiling at this point, so it isn't going to destroy the active ingredients that we're hoping to extract. So I'll leave that for about 15 minutes before I top it up with a further 2 liters of cold water. Now this is pre-boiled and cooled cold water, but because I don't have too much time this evening, I would like it to cool down to about 24 degrees so that I can add the yeast, as the yeast will be destroyed at any point over that, and there's just basically no point adding it in. In reality, it took closer to 35 minutes for my liquid to cool down to around 24 degrees. So it was now time to add our brewer's yeast. Now you can get a wine yeast, but all I had was brewer's yeast. And the rule is normally a 1 gram to 1 gallon as far as I've researched. But as I did use a bit more sugar, I did add about 1.2 grams. Now you leave it for 15 minutes to sit on the top until it starts to bubble, and once that process has happened, it's then time to give it a good stir in. This will be bubbling away for approximately a week while the hot water pulls all the goodies out of the blackberries and hopefully those nettle seeds. Now, normally what I do, like I said earlier, is I'd make the wine first and then I'd infuse it with the nettle seeds, technically a tincture, but because we're actually making the wine with this, I'm not sure if it still qualifies as a tincture. Now we do want to pop the lid on it, but we don't want to seal it. As I said, it will be bubbling away with those gases as the yeast consumes the sugar, and we don't want the container to explode. So I'm just going to pop it on top so nothing can get in it, but also so that it doesn't explode. And I'll pop this in my dry goods pantry for around a week where it's not in direct sunlight and the temperature really fluctuates over 24 or under 24 degrees Celsius. And then I will decant and pop it into my demijohn for the secondary fermentation. So join us for part 2, where we will not only be starting the secondary fermentation, we'll also be turning the extra blackberries into jellies for my kids. We have an exciting announcement here at the Herbothecary on August 24th, which is not only my 40th birthday, it's also my wedding anniversary. After many requests, we will finally be releasing the first Herbothecary ebook. We'll have 2. The first one is Raiding Nature's Medicine Chest. 8 recipes, plant-based recipes that every medicine chest should have. This includes a bites and stings balm, a eczema cream, a yarrow styptic powder that I never leave home without. The second will be Raiding Nature's Pantry, which will contain my nettle stew recipe, our wild leaf pesto, our forage stir fry, and another 5 on top of that. These books can be pre-ordered by emailing us at herbothecarynaturalhealth@gmail.com, or if you'd like to, you can visit us at our Facebook page, which is Natural Health at Home at the Herbothecary. I will pop those details down in the description box below. They will be available at £1.49 per book or £2.49 for both. Thank you guys again so much for your support. I've really enjoyed sharing my knowledge with you, and I can't wait to get the book out. Again, thank you guys for coming back to the Herbothecary. It was great to see you again. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you guys again soon. Bye.